Hi, my name is Robert Shelley with Chelle Law, and my firm assists physicians with employment contract issues. Today I want to talk about how a base salary plus productivity model works in a physician contract. And it can work a number of different ways. We'll kind of go through that. So, in a physician contract, if someone is just coming out of training or is switching jobs, it's very likely that there will be some kind of income guarantee period. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for a physician to join a practice or a hospital and then just go straight production from the very beginning. Now, it could be specialty dependent. Maybe if you're doing some staffing or shift work with, like an ED or hospitalist, that may make sense. However, if you are kind of building a practice, so if you're in primary care, cardiology, or, any of the kind of outpatient-based clinic practices, it takes time to build up a patient base. 12 to 18 months is kind of like a normal amount of time for a practice to reach maturity. So if you come in, there likely will just be an income-based guarantee, and then maybe some like stretch goal production models where you would, if you hit certain thresholds, you'll get some kind of bonus. But in that case, after the income guarantee period, so after the first year or two, it can then switch. And so today I'll just talk specifically about how a base salary plus productivity model would work. So it's basically a hybrid compensation model. So I think I'll take two scenarios and kind of walk through them briefly. So let's just say a physician has a guaranteed base plus some kind of RVU-based productivity bonuses involved. And let's talk about how that would work. So let's say I'm just going to use an example. Let's say you made $240,000 in year one, and then $240,000 in year two as the income guarantee. And then after that, your compensation then shifts to some kind of productivity model. So what an employer could do is, instead of just paying you $240,000, they could cut your base guarantee in half, so you'd be making $120,000. And then once you hit certain productivity thresholds, then they would do some kind of calculation and you would get the surplus of that. So let's take RVUs as an example. So let's say you're in primary care and the annual RVU goal is 6,000. So most places would do maybe like a quarterly reconciliation. So it's 1,500 RVUs that you're expected to generate. So you have the 120 annual base, right? And so just divide that by 12. And so you have 10,000 a month. And then, after the quarter, so they've paid you 30,000. In addition, at the end of that, then they would say, all right, did you generate 1,500 RVUs? And then anything above that, you would then get some kind of, multiplication where they'll take the surplus RVUs times some kind of compensation factor, and then you would get that as a bonus at the end of the quarter. Now, in that scenario, that's not a way that most places would do it, because most physicians are not going to be okay with getting, like a small base each month and then a big windfall at the end. And in addition to that, if you were getting half base, you certainly wouldn't be expected to have like a normal median RVU productivity in order to get any additional comp. It would be lowered. Another way to do kind of a base plus productivity would be through net collections. And so the scenario would be the same. The physician would have a base salary, and then they would have some kind of net collection threshold. One way of doing it would be, if, let's just say, the physician's getting paid $20,000 a month, the employer would say, okay, once you cover your base salary, so once you would get $20,000 in collections in that month, anything above that amount you would get a percentage of, usually somewhere between 30 to 40%. and then they would get that at the end of the month, usually within 15 to 30 days of the end of the month. That would be a normal way of doing it as well. Honestly, from contract to contract, the way that a physician is compensated probably varies the most from any other term. It's just there. I mean, there's so many ways of doing compensation. Is there one that's better than others? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's just kind of dependent. Depends upon specialty, depends upon how efficient the billing practices of the business that you work for are, depends upon the volume, depends upon how established the practice is. Like all of those variables go into I guess they combine to determine what type of compensation model would be best for you. And until we can kind of take a total look at all of it, there's no way of knowing, what's the best in your situation. And then also there are employers who just say, this is the model we're using. And so you kind of have to deal with that as well. And in that case, if you know what the model is and that they're not going to change the model, well, the one variable that they can change are the numbers used. So the RVU threshold, the net collection percentage, what the base draw is. Those are all the things that can change, that can determine, whether it's a great opportunity for a physician or not. So that's kind of a brief example of, a base compensation plus productivity model for a physician. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can always contact my firm. Our phone number is listed below in the description, or you can reach us through our website at chellelaw.com. That's CHELLE law.com. Again, my name is Robert Chelle, and I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.